Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's the Pictures podcast. It is episode number 215. Today, we'll be talking about the 49th Oscar ceremony, which kind of celebrated the films of the year 1970. You had some heavy hitters in there, and we can't wait to talk about them and, maybe some of the best ways to watch them now.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get there, hi, Evan. How you doing? This is
I'm good. How are you, Max?
my co-host Evan Crean, as always. We're in March now. The shortest month is over.
Went by in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, like I did a lot of Olympics watching over here. I mean, like there's a lot of ups and downs. You can say like movies and television give you a lot of great drama, but like when you watch something like sports, sometimes you can see like why people say it's like the great drama, right? Because you just never know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very sporadic in my Olympic watching. I feel like a lot of it was through Peacock, and I feel like their platform is chaotic in the amount of like options you have to choose from and how to watch, when to watch. It's all so overwhelming, but you end up just like clicking into something, watching for a little while, and then be like, okay, I guess I'll go do something else now, or I'll go try and find something else to watch.
That's funny you say that because like I had subscribed to Peacock just for the Olympics and like it's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'd really like to watch this event, but why don't they have the whole thing? They only have like clips of it. Or like I understand why the broadcast is very heavily like USA centric because they're like, oh, this is what people want to watch. Or like, but like sometimes I just want to watch the whole event. Like what happens every time the Winter Olympics are on, a lot of people really get into curling.
Yeah. I watched a little bit myself. I still have like no clue what's going on, but it's entertaining to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like shuffleboard, right? Is that
Kinda.
kind of like the idea? But yeah, I mean, like hopefully we're turning a corner here into some more exciting movies and March and April. I know March has Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride coming out very shortly, which I have no idea what to expect from that one. Project Hail Mary has a lot of screenings. I know a lot of people have seen it already. I think what I'm hearing is that the studio is pretty bullish on it. So that'll be exciting. Evan, I know you probably get them, but like, it was like the Museum of Science was like one of the places where this like movie is going to be screening. And I thought that was wild. Like never had I gotten an invite to see a movie where that like there.
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought that was interesting. I don't think I've ever been invited to a press screening at the Museum of Science. That's cool, though. I assume it's in their Omni theater, maybe? I'm not sure if there's another theater there that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I've seen some shows in the IMAX Omni theater there, and those are pretty crazy. I remember I saw one back in the day that was like a skydiving one. It was all about like skydiving and base jumping, and that was pretty intense.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see it in IMAX. It sounds like they've done a lot, or at least the directors were like, oh yeah, well, the Earth footage is in standard, the space footage, if you're in IMAX, you get to see it all blown up. So, I'm looking forward to it. I already have some tickets, so.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be good. Actually, it's funny, I was walking through Target today and I saw the book on the shelf and I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I should read that.
I mean, if you enjoyed The Martian, I mean, it's pretty similar.
I did. Yeah, I did. I like The Martian a lot, book and movie.
But yeah, that's our March. But before we get into it, in our feature topic on the 49th Oscars, I guess because the Oscars are coming right around the corner, we have news in the entertainment industry that we learned recently that Netflix has backed out of its deal to acquire Warner Brothers and in steps Paramount, Skydance, or whatever they call themselves now, to make the higher bid and rule the
boy,
day.
Is it high. $111 billion. Good Lord.
I think ultimately, like, either way, it was awful for the consumer. Like, I think like one less studio making movies is bad. But like, I just really don't like Paramount these days.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with Paramount per se. I've been a subscriber to Paramount Plus for a while, and I like a decent number of their shows and like their catalog of movies. So I'm not like the most upset about it. Netflix, it really did feel like though it was going to be more of a problem in terms of like limiting choice and creativity and whatnot. I don't know why I feel that way by comparison to Paramount. It feels like Netflix has a much larger market share, at least in the streaming space, that made it feel like, oh boy, this is horrible.
I think a lot of people point to the politics of it, Evan, and their
Mm-hmm.
fares, and they're like, well, Paramount kind of like overhauled CBS Evening News and made it really like right wing centric, and they're afraid that like, oh, if these same people have control of CNN, it's like, well, that there goes our news media. I mean, that's
Mm,
just one part of a very big acquisition, right? I mean, this is humongous that they're trying to acquire here. But yeah, the stockholders were very happy that Netflix pulled out of the deal. Like the stock for Netflix was up after they left the deal.
mm-hmm.
Presumably people are happy that Paramount has the deal the stock market shows, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously there's going to be a lot of regulatory business to go through, and
Yep.
we'll see what ultimately happens. I guess what we look at, Evan, is I don't really feel like Disney acquiring Fox has been very good,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't imagine that, eating up another business is going to be all that great.
Right, yeah, or Amazon swallowing up MGM.
I mean, for all the people who are like, oh, look, now we can watch James Bond movies on Netflix because they're licensing them over there. I mean, like, come on.
I mean, that seems to be happening across the board. Like this past week, I forget the name of the show, but it's got Elizabeth Olsen and Jesse Plemons, and it was one of those like HBO shows that finally got kicked over to Netflix. And it seems like everybody now is trading their shows to each other to try and gain interest to their own platforms, and I don't know how well that's working out for any of them.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just the beginning. Like I said, we that has a long way to go and what ultimately happens there. But what we do know is, unfortunately, legendary film actor Robert Duvall passed away recently,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in a number of works, including one that we'll be talking about later, Network, and for a lot of people, most notably, they'll say The Godfather 1 and
Right.
2.
Excellent in those movies. He's terrific.
I've heard some people who say, arguably, that if he had appeared in Godfather 3, that movie would have been much better.
I mean, probably. There's not really much that could have made it worse.
Hmm.
I mean, the other cut that Coppola released a few years ago was definitely better, but still, it's the weakest of those three movies.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with The Godfather. As a slight aside, is like the two first movies were so good. It's like, even though
Yeah.
I don't think 3 is terrible. Now that I've finally seen it, it's just like if you compare it, then it gets really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like 3 just feels very long-winded. But yeah, I agree. It's not like horrible. It could have been. But yeah, what's your favorite Robert Duvall role as a
Yeah,
Godfather?
yeah, it probably has to be Godfather 1. Like that's instantly what I think of when I think of Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
I think like some people were saying that like if you haven't like seen him in like movies like The Apostle, you should check that out, which is something that I have not seen.
Yeah, me neither.
I have it at filmography up right now. It would definitely just be like Godfather is the one that I'd think of right away. I mean, like I have a soft spot for like Deep Impact, but that's not like a great movie.
Mm,
He's in Days of Thunder, I guess.
yeah, love him in Days of Thunder, actually. In Apocalypse Now, a very iconic, small but iconic
Yes, that's
role
right.
in
Apocalypse
that.
Now.
But yeah, Days of Thunder for sure. That's a highly underrated Tom Cruise movie, in my opinion.
If you want to see him with the late Robert Redford, you could watch The Natural, which was a baseball movie, I guess, that they both appeared in together.
Yep, one I have not seen. Heard it's good. I recently rewatched Falling Down, which is one of my favorite Robert Duvall performances, and Michael Douglas is great in it too. And it's Joel Schumacher at the helm, so it's like it's going full tilt. Yeah, Robert Duvall is a very understated kind of performance in it, but he brings a lot of gravitas to it, and he brings a kind of like very likable everyman quality to his character. He's like the cop that's pursuing Michael Douglas throughout the movie, and the thing is like it's supposed to be his last day. He's supposed to be retiring, but he
Hmm.
gets sucked into this, and he like can't let it go, even though everyone's like, "Go home, you're retired, get out of here."
I guess looking at this, he is also in what now? I now call the most cursed movie ever, which
What's
is
that?
Thank You for Smoking.
Thank You for Smoking. Man, I forgot about that movie.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I did, and I remember liking it at the time, but I haven't seen it in forever.
I really liked it too, but then like you look at like it's like what it's trying to do, and then you look at like the producers of this movie, and you're like, no, because the movie is let's say, it's a Jason Reitman movie. It's like one of his first movies.
Mm-hmm.
But then let's see, I remember just seeing it and being like, so kind of like, what a cursed movie. Producers. Wow, this had a lot of producers. Like Peter Thiel is a executive producer, and
Okay.
Elon Musk is a executive producer.
Yep. I see where we're going here.
I'm just like, I don't know if I could watch that movie and feel the same way that I used to.
Yeah, I mean they're producers though. I feel like it's like whatever they threw some money at the project as opposed to being like heavily involved or in it even.
But yeah, another great actor. Evan, when I see these actors passing, and I kind of like reflect on my own getting older, and I'm just like, I hate the fact that I know a lot of the actors now that are passing away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when we were growing up, maybe like we weren't familiar with their names or what they did, but now it's like it very much hits home where it's just like, oh, I know that actor and I've seen them in a lot of movies.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh man, Robert Duvall. Like, I mean, he was up there at least in years, but like, I know Catherine O'Hara hit people pretty hard recently. It's
Right.
just like, and they come in waves. It's like a couple of beloved actors pass away or musicians, and you're just like, oh man, it just hurts.
Right. Like James Vanderbeek passed away recently too.
Yeah, that was super duper sad. Oh, man, heartbreaking.
But yeah, thanks for the movies, Robert Duvall. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think like the in memoriam segment at the Oscars will be way too long and painful this year. And then finally, we have some current box office news and the latest movie in the Scream franchise. Not kind of open to its biggest opening weekend ever, so we can definitely that's a franchise that's not dying, but also its worst reviews probably in the series history. I wonder, I don't have a dog in this fight, but like I wonder like how much of it was critics like remembering the controversy that went into this movie and like
Mm-hmm.
what happened and like just kind of like that coloring their review.
Yeah, could be. I mean, who knows? I plan to see the movie this week, so maybe I can report back next time
Yeah, because
I talk to you, Max. But I'm definitely interested to see it. I'm happy that it's doing well, considering they brought back Nev Campbell, and they were originally going to exclude her because they weren't willing to like pay her enough to be part of the movie. So definitely interested to see how it turns out. But it's kind of funny the contrast sometimes is like critics pan something, audiences love it, and it's doing well at the box office. It's kind of like anytime you see the tomato meter score versus the audience score, and that can be like super telling, like, oh, the critics hate it, but audiences loved it. Or like what's really telling is when it has a low audience score and a low tomato meter score. You're like, aha, this has got to be really bad if the audience didn't like it and critics didn't like it.
yeah, I guess, but then there's like the fun thing, like when a movie crosses over to that, like, oh, it's so bad that you have to like watch the train wreck. You just like have to know.
Yeah, oh, yeah, totally. I did that. I did that actually a couple days ago. I watched this Al Pacino movie called 88 Minutes because I was listening to this old episode of How Did This Get Made where they talked about it. And boy, is it bad! It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's so horrible, but it was so fun to watch. What a train wreck it was.
Like that. I think that that's how the movie label Vinegar Syndrome makes all of its money is these movies that are like so awful, but like you just like laugh at them because they're so bad.
There's definitely a place for that kind of movie for sure. And I hate when people are like overly snobby about that. But I also hate when people go too far the other direction where they're like celebrating movies. I'm like, guys, come on. This is not good. This is truly terrible. Like, why are we wasting minutes of our lives watching this?
But
The
yeah,
balance.
I don't think I have a dog in the Scream fight, Evan. I've only seen the first two out of the franchise, and I've heard many people say that those are the ones that are the best.
They definitely are, or are among the best of them. Scream 3 is not very good. Scream 4 is actually pretty good, and I started to like them I feel like they're on an upswing again after Scream 5. I like Scream 5 and 6. They were kind of fun. 5, I think, more than 6, but still very fun.
So yeah, that's Scream 7. We'll see what happens in Scream 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. But let's go back in time, some 50 odd some years to the 49th Oscars ceremony. This was I don't know if they could possibly fathom like classic some of these movies would be, right? Because like it wasn't until I think the 2000s that they really expanded the Best Picture category, and it was always just 5 films nominated. And I like to play a game sometime just in myself to imagine like what 5 films every year would be, and like what ones do they just throw in for the inclusion of throwing them in.
Right.
But at least 4 of these 5 films, and the films we'll be talking about in depth are Rocky, All the President's Men, Taxi Driver, and Network, with the 5th film, Bound for Glory, being the one that Evan and I haven't seen.
Yep.
I think these movies, are easy to point at and say, oh yeah, these are like, it's not just like one movie was far and away the best. It was like, you could pick one of the 4 and be happy.
Yeah, I think, of these movies, of the 4 or 5 that we've seen, all of them have an enduring legacy that lasts today, that are like, I would say they're considered classics in the cinematic world. They're movies that people often reference as like some of the best of the best.
Right. And one of the reasons, outside of it being like Oscar month, I wanted to bring this up again, and it's these movies' 50th anniversary, was All the President's Men and Network both recently got new 4K restorations out on KUHD that you can go pick up. It was funny, Evan. I saw the other day, The Ringer has a podcast that publishes all the time. It's hard to keep up with how much they publish. they the Big Picture Show, and they kind of champion physical media often, and one of the hosts of the show was doing something kind of similar, where he was just showing like the physical media releases of films that came out in 1976, and I haven't gotten to watch the full episode yet because I think it's like 30 minutes, but if you're interested in actually looking at the physical disc, maybe check The Ringer's Big Picture out. But yeah, growing up, it's easy to point to Rocky, and we should probably start there as the Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
It's the easiest one to watch out of all these.
Right. It's the one you've seen on TV the most of these. It's easy to like have a Rocky marathon on TV and have like sat down and have watched Rocky and many of its sequels.
It's like I could just, I don't know when the first time I watched a Rocky movie, but like outside of like some foul language, it's like I can imagine like watching these at 12 and thinking like they're like the greatest movies ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the most prominent underdog stories in cinema. Like, it's a sports movie, it's an underdog movie, it's got a lot of, iconic scenes, it's got iconic lines like, yo, Adrian. Like,
yeah.
It made Stallone's career. Also, famously, like, he was really struggling. He himself was an underdog story, and he was struggling to get this movie made for a while, and struggling because he knew he wanted to star in it, and no one wanted him to star in it, even though he wrote it, and it was kind of like his baby. He got, like, desperately poor. Like, he sold his dog. He was so poor, and he had to actually end up buying it back later. But like, and also I heard a really interesting story recently about how Henry Winkler was one of the people who helped him get Rocky made. Like, he found him, like, crossed paths with him, and like, I don't know, turned somebody on to him in his project.
Yeah. So like you said, it's an underdog story where you have this like kind of bum boxer, right? He's the Italian stallion.
And real working class guy.
Yeah. And you have the champion, Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers, who is like, I'm so good, I'll take on any contender. They almost, I think if I remember correctly, Evan, they do like a lottery system to pick who his challenger is, or was it like just picking out of a book?
That I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've seen Rocky, so I don't remember that specific piece of it.
Either way, it might have, if I remember correctly, it might have even came down to like Creed liking his boxing name, like the Italian stallion, and like being like,
it is a great one.
He's like, we can sell that, and that Rocky was a southpaw, right? Like that was a
Right.
big challenge. And so when it's announced that he's gonna get this shot, he's like, what am I gonna do? And he connects with Burgess Meredith, who becomes his coach, and really memorable performance by Burgess Meredith in here.
Yeah.
Um, and trying to get Rocky up to snuff and to be able to actually compete with a champion.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
guess,
his character is also kind of like an iconically like parody to like Trainer too in popular culture. The kind of like gruff talking, kind of guy who's like, pushing our, hero doing with like unorthodox training methods.
yeah. Well, that would become a signature of the Rocky franchise, right? Because like you'd have these like great montage sequences, and
Mm-hmm.
it would just be like playing the like themes, like Getting Stronger, like Gotta Fly Now, or like Eye of the
Yeah.
Tiger, or Hearts on Fire, you know.
Right. Yeah, those are all great, but Gonna Fly Now is very iconic and just lives, rent free in my head. Anytime I think of Rocky, it starts playing in my head.
Yeah, so the score had a big part of making the movie work. It's not just Stallone trying to win this fight, but also he's fallen in love with this young woman who is, very shy. I guess she works at a pet store, and, he just becomes smitten with her, and it's really about his courtship of her as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and their relationship is like a central part of the films to follow after, too.
Yeah, so I mean, like we'll talk about these other movies shortly, Evan, but it was easy to see why like people would rally behind Rocky. It's a very, feel good
Mm-hmm.
type of movie.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a character you can root for. I mean, like he's a rough and tumble, like blue collar kind of working man kind of guy, and he's going up against the odds, and like great score, montage, you get fun like training, good characters. Like Stallone's great, Talia Shire and Burt Young also great. Carl Weathers great, and Burgess Meredith some good performances in it, and I mean
And
the
and come
fact
on,
that
can I
it's.
just say how genius it was that Stallone wrote the ending as like it's going to be a tie.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could have wrote it easily, like Rocky wins and it's this great big deal, but like the way that it's written, like it's a tie. It's like that still is quite the like accomplishment that he was able to pull that off.
Right. Yeah. It's a brave ending, I would say. Like the easy way would have been like, oh, Rocky's just gonna win and he's gonna come out on top, but like leaving room for him to like have places to go in the future in the I don't think he would have foreseen at the time that he would have been able to make a bunch more movies about Rocky, but it is a brave and bold choice to not have him just like straight up win at the end.
Yeah, I even forget what is that like? There's 6 Rocky movies,
Yeah.
right? And then there's like 3 Creed movies.
There's 6 Rocky and 3 Creed, and Stallone is in 2 of the 3 Creed movies
Right.
as Rocky. So definitely, this character has been some places.
But yeah, Rocky, I still love that movie. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. Very watchable.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like Rocky's friend, future brother-in-law, Paulie, played by Burt Young, is quite the character, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but also like, how many movie characters can you say have their own statue in their like hometown? Like, there's a statue of Rocky in Philly. Like that's gotta point to the cultural like impact of the character in pop culture and to Philadelphia where the story takes place.
So I guess the one that we're gonna be weakest on, because I don't think either of us has watched it within the last year, is probably Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Scorsese has such a memorable and championed filmography, but often Taxi Driver's in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
what would you say? Like people would say like Goodfellas, Raging
Yes,
Bull, Taxi
absolutely.
Driver.
Yeah, those are definitely, I would say, the big 3. Even though like he won the Oscar for Departed, it just feels it feels like lesser Scorsese to me in the realm of those 3 films.
Yeah, me
And
too.
Taxi Driver also has the benefit of being written by Paul Schrader, who's kind of like a enfant terrible of the cinematic world. And like De Niro gives a kind of like go for broke performance in this movie, and this kind of like very memorable as this like unhinged, loose cannon kind of guy.
Yeah, and like I wrote here in our notes that like he plays a young guy who's kind of come back from the war with nothing, and it was almost like this unsung promise that like when you come back from serving your country that you're gonna be like taken care of. And here he is, he's just like a night taxi driver picking up random people, and he eventually gets involved with like Sybil Shepherd. Her character is like volunteering at like a politician's office for election or something, and he just gets like obsessed with her. And I don't know. I guess like some people feel like his character, the way De Niro portrays it, is completely unhinged. I mean, like it's easy to point to where a film like Joker, which won the Golden Lion, like, it was just obviously riffing off of this character.
Right, yeah. I think films like Taxi Driver and King of Comedy in Scorsese's filmography had to walk so that Joker could run. I don't think you have Joker without these films giving such a strong foundation for Joker to build off of and riff on.
Yeah, I think that there's even eventually De Niro's character comes involved with like Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster is very young in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like there's like people debate this movie's ending, right? Like it's the dream thing where like he thought he was going to make a statement by assassinating that political person that Sybil Shepherd's involved with, but he like backs out of it, and instead he gets involved with like trying to like save Jodie Foster from like a prostitution ring. The end of the movie is like him running up the stairs and like being this big savior, and people have like debated whether or not like that's just like some kind of fantasy that he thought he could go out as a hero.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever thought of it like that. I think I took it at face value.
Yeah, there is debate about the ending of that movie and whether or not like he is, just trying to be a hero for whatever merit or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But like a few of these movies, like you said, Rocky had famous lines, right? Taxi Driver certainly has its share of famous lines, like "Are you looking at me?" and
"Yeah, you talking to me?"
Just like when you watch movies like this, Evan, and the people say the line, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio on the meme be like pointing at my screen and like, he said the line.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said too about like knowing these lines, these iconic lines in the ether, and then actually seeing them play out in the scene in the movie that they're known for. There's something really special about that. Like the first time you see a movie like Rocky or Taxi Driver, and you get to soak this all in for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't put it in my notes, but Albert Brooks is in this movie too. He also works at the politician's like volunteer place, and he's like the boyfriend of Sybil Shepherd, and he's like what the heck is this guy doing here?
Yeah, Peter Boyle is in it too. Always love Peter Boyle.
Yeah, Taxi Driver was obviously a huge movie for Scorsese. He had a lot of great movies up to that point, but I think like Taxi Driver put him on another level where he could like kind of make what he wanted to make. I saw Mean Streets recently, and I was like, yeah, that's okay.
I hate Mean Streets. I think it's a terrible film.
I think like there's another like older Scorsese movie like Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which is getting a Criterion soon, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay, but like Taxi Driver, that works for me quite a bit.
Yeah, I like Taxi Driver a lot. Like Raging Bull, like King of Comedy. I rewatched After Hours recently, and I didn't love it as much on rewatch as I did before. But hey, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, After Hours is a strange movie.
Yep. Yes, it is.
But do you have anything to add on Taxi Driver?
No, as we're talking about these movies, I feel like they're worthy of a rewatch for sure. Taxi Driver, especially because I think I've seen it even less than Rocky. I've like watched so many times, like accidentally due to being on TV so much. But I really want to rewatch it because it's been a while since I've seen it. It was like Stallone. I've been a big Stallone fan for a long time.
So moving right along, let's go to Network, because I know that you started watching some of that recently.
Yeah.
And I finished my rewatch of it thanks to the Criterion release. I was really looking forward to it. This is a really like kind of soothsayer script by Patty Chayefsky. He wrote Network, and it's just like it's one of those movies that you watch and it's frightening, like how much it predicts the future. The movie starts with Peter Finch, who would posthumously win Best Actor for his performance as Howard Beale, and he goes on live television and he's like, I'm gonna kill myself on live TV in
Yeah.
5 days.
Well, they're firing him. He's a longtime network anchor, and they're firing him. And then he says, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself next Tuesday. Tune in. I'm gonna blow my brains out on the air."
And the first reaction is like, get him off the air, fire him. But then he has struck a chord with the viewers, and they're just turning in masses to see like what's gonna ultimately happen here.
Yeah, well, and then the thing is, like, what Robert Duvall is one of the high ups at the network, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna cut the news, we're gonna cut funding to the news department because it's unprofitable." And so when what's his name? When Howard Beale is like, "Let me go back on for a few minutes and like just say my piece or whatever," Max Schumacher, who is his buddy, is like, "Yeah, sure, go on there, say whatever the hell you want. I'm mad at the network that they're gonna cut my department." And that's when he really hooks people, because he like goes on to like, "I'm tired of the bullshit," and he goes off in this like crazy rant that like scores like high ratings. And like, well, maybe we'll just let him do that. That worked really well. Just let him like rant and rave for a while, since that seems to be resonating with people.
Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Yeah.
And then Faye Dunaway, from Bonnie and Clyde fame, is lead actress in this movie, and she's like this up and coming TV executive that just like she's worried about numbers. That's all she cares about. And she's like,
Right.
this guy is pulling in huge numbers. We have to keep him on air as much as we can.
Yeah, she angles her way over from working on other network shows to working on the news, because she wants to like capture this lightning in a bottle. And she's got other like harebrained schemes for like ratings. Like there's some crazy like revolutionary group that's like committing terrorist acts, and she's like, "Let's get the footage of them committing their terrorist acts, and then we'll like turn it into like a weekly program where we like get the footage and then like dramatize it or talk about it or whatever." That'll be a good idea.
There are some things in this movie that feel like very of the moment, but it's just like, I think why I don't put past people to do that I think that's like the one moment where like I think I get taken out of the satire. I'm like, come on, you're gonna like hire like terrorists and like film them and like get them. I think there's a part later in the movie where they're like talking about like their contracts and like I'm just like, I don't know how much. I mean, like I understand like the original intention of this script was to be almost like a farce. So I guess in that sense it works, but
I
so
agree. It feels a little far fetched even by this movie's standards. Take it from me, I made it a little over halfway through today. I didn't get a chance to finish the whole thing, but yeah, that I agree. That part did feel kind of a bit outlandish even for this. But it's interesting to see how this movie has influenced others, and even I think of Apple TV's The Morning Show, and its news drama feels like it's pulling a lot from Network and like the politics. It still feels incredibly relevant today, and like the politics of the newsroom and like the news in relation to the rest of the network, and like people at the network just being mad that news is like a losing business, but they feel like they need it. And so like, how can we inject some stuff to drum up ratings?
Yeah, and I mean like so much of like what Howard Beale does, I'm like, did people like Tucker Carlson and like Alex Jones like watch this movie and like it became like their Midas stone or something, because like that some of these people's like modus operandi is just to like yell at the TV and tell you like why America is bad and why like you have to do these other things. And I'm like, okay, that's where this movie feels like it predicted something.
Yeah, I hear that. As somebody who studied broadcast journalism as their undergraduate major, definitely some of this stuff is striking a chord with me, especially the whole idea about like ratings in news, having to like care about ratings. I just think about like some of the stuff I was learning in class where it's like, oh, what's going on today? There's not much going on in the news. All right, let's make a story about the weather so we can fill time. Let's make a story. Is there something happening with the Red Sox? Is there something happening with the Bruins or the Celtics? All right, let's make that our story. Like, you still have to like make up shit to like fill the time on the air. even on like quote unquote slow news days. And I'm just like, I just kept thinking more and more, this is not the world that I want to live in. This is not where I want to make a career.
But yeah, the we've already mentioned some of the cast here. You mentioned the character of Max, he was played by William Holden.
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice Straight won Best Supporting Actress for her role as William Holden's wife in the movie, and she appears very briefly. And I'm like, must be like up there for like one of the shortest Best Supporting wins ever.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, of the stuff that I've watched, I feel like I've met her character, but she's been barely in it so far.
There's another great sequence with Ned Beatty, who is like the head of the network, and he takes Howard Beale into like his room and like kind of like tells him how it is. That's a pretty interesting sequence. I mean, like, I don't know. I've always found this movie pretty fascinating. It's kind of like a soothsayer. You already used that word, I know, but like of like what would come, and like I put it like right up there with like other movies that kind of predicted the future, like Children of Men and The Truman Show. Like these movies that like maybe they knew too much about what was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see where it ends up by the end of the movie. I feel like I'm enjoying it thus far, but I'm definitely feeling like the middle is a little bit slow, for lack of a better word. I'm hoping that things kind of pick up steam again. The last thing that I feel like I watched was Howard Beale going on his like crazy rant in like almost like a stained glass window background, like the like televangelist style fainting. I'm like, oh boy, things have really gone off the rails.
So yeah, that was Network. It had quite the cast. And then I watched probably half of All the President's Men today. I've seen it a few times before. It used, in my mind, it used to be like the gold standard for like journalism movies, if that's a genre that like
yes, for sure,
people think about. Like more recently, I think The Post is a pretty decent one. Spotlight is obviously the one. Like I actually think I prefer Spotlight now to All the President's Men. But certainly that's what people pointed to when Spotlight came out and won the Oscar. It was just like, oh, this is just a movie doing All the President's Men really well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're both great films and deserve their own respect. I mean, obviously you don't have Spotlight without All the President's Men, but I think, both are about very compelling scandals. And I think, All the President's Men being about the Watergate scandal and leading to Nixon's resignation. I mean, that's a big freaking deal in our country's history. The first time a president resigned because of like wrongdoing, and like the fact that these guys are like digging into such important like news stories and airing all of this corruption and bringing it to light is like incredible.
Yeah, I made the joke online today that it's a fantasy movie where our elected leaders face punishment for their crimes.
I know. Seriously, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if somebody who was in the Oval Office actually cared enough about being horrible that he resigned?
But yeah, this movie, like we said, is about the Watergate story where Nixon, I guess, came out that him and the Republican Party hired people to like spy on the Democratic Party at the Watergate hotel.
Yeah.
Well, these two reporters for the Washington Post, played by Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman in this movie, see that story and they just do a lot of investigative work to find out and connect the dots to Nixon eventually.
I mean, like when you think of journalism, when you think of the names of journalism, you can't think of that without thinking of Woodward and Bernstein. Like those guys are legends. And this movie, I think, is like a legend in itself too, for being such an incredible procedural and so tense and engaging and well acted and just a really stellar telling of the story.
Yeah, it seems quaint though now, right, Evan? Like isn't it kind of cheating by like spying on the other political party, and like that's the reason why they get impeached? I don't think that would happen today.
I mean, there's far worse crimes that presidents have committed since then have gone unpunished. So yeah, it does feel kind of quaint in that way. It makes you think of a happier time in our country where we had a little bit of accountability and shame for doing things that were bad.
Yeah. No, but like you said, a topic like this should be dry, right? Like you would think like it would be unwatchable, but All the President's Men does make it exciting. And when they find out and they connect the dots between like, no name person to other no name person, you're like, oh, they did it. And you're like, and coming at this movie, you and I obviously weren't alive during Watergate or anything. So like we're watching it and we're experiencing it unfold. Whereas like when this movie came out, it was only like 3 or 4 years after Watergate. So like maybe the audiences had, more familiarity with the story. But I still think it plays pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can watch it today and even if you weren't alive at the time or it's not quite packing the same punch because it's not so raw and fresh as it was at the time, it's still great. There's so many amazing people in it too. I'm like looking through the cast, reminded like Jack Warden, Love Martin Balsam, great. Jason Robards, Hal Holbrook, like Ned Beatty. This is one hell of a cast right here.
Yeah, so All the President's Men still one of the gold standards in the genre of journalism movies. If there is considered a genre, it's certainly the father of it.
Yeah, it's in the pantheon of great journalism movies.
And that leads us to the 5th movie that was nominated for Best Picture, which was this movie called Bound for Glory. I believe Evan and I haven't seen it.
That's right.
I do plan on watching it soon. It was directed by Hal Ashby, probably best known for the movies Harold and Maude, The Last Detail, and Being There. I've seen 2 of the 3 of those. Yeah, excellent movies. This one is about David Carradine. He plays folk singer Woody Guthrie. And, I don't know too much what to expect from the movie. I do know that it won Best Cinematography. The director of photography, Haskell Wexler, kind of used this invention by Garrett Brown, who was the inventor of the Steadicam camera system, which, became synonymous with the entertainment industry and film in general.
Right. I mean, I don't think you could have the amount of reality TV that we have today without the Steadicam, that's for sure.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, like those are like 4 just excellent movies. I'm sure the 5th one is pretty great as well. That have stood the time. Even talking about them, like I didn't watch Rocky or Taxi Driver for this, but I'm like, I'd love to just turn them on right now and watch them because they're both excellent movies.
Yeah, same. They're the kind of movies you want to watch again. It's just satisfied being like, oh, I saw it once. Okay, I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, like I said, Rocky, All the President's Men, Taxi Driver, and Network all have pretty good 4K releases that you could pick up now. Not sure for Bound for Glory if it had a Blu-ray release, but we'll see. I have a hard time like recalling very many Oscar events or a collection of Best Picture nominees that feel like stone cold classics that like you could just point at and be like, oh yeah, this is like one that stands the test of time, or like you could just imagine any one of these winning Best Picture in any every year.
Yeah, totally. This is an exceptionally strong set of Best Picture nominees.
But yeah,
which one won, Max? Did we say which one of these won the Best Picture?
Yeah, Rocky. We said because it was the fan favorite, kind of easier thing to digest, I imagine.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that wraps up our discussion on the 49th Oscars ceremony. Before we get into what we've been watching, we're gonna pause for some station identification. You've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Max Colville, and my co-host, Evan Crean. You can follow the podcast on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Check out It's the Pic Pod or It's the Pictures there. You can also email us at itsthepictures@gmail.com. I can be found mostly on Blue Sky these days. You can search me under the name at maxcolville.com or just search my name, Max Colville. Keep up with Letterboxd and post everything that I've been watching there. Like you can see that I posted my watch of Network this morning. So if you want to keep track of what I've been watching, go ahead and do that there. Evan, where can they find you?
Let's see what places I exist. I am on Twitter, but never post there. I'm on Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram. Probably the best place to keep up with me is Letterboxd because I actually do update that, keep my watch list up to date. I'm not really posting so much in the other places other than maybe like reposting episodes of this show. One of these days, I'll get back to having social media and doing it again. Yeah, definitely follow me on Letterboxd. I'm Real Recon on all those places. That's real as in film real.
All right, awesome. And as always, if you want to check out the newsletter, that's itsthepictures.com. Recently, it's been a little bit of a holding pattern given all the snow days we've had here. On the Northeast, we had some epic snow. You would imagine that being home would allow me to have more time to watch movies and write, but when my family and small child is home, that means I have less time.
Yep, I hear you, friend.
So hopefully I get back to some writing soon, and not only talk about what in more detail the topic that we just covered during this episode, the films of 1976, but also the 4K of the movie Excalibur, which I'll be talking about shortly. Evan, what have you been watching?
Let's see. Most recently, I caught up with Predator Badlands, which I missed last year and kept meaning to watch it. And then I think I saw it pop up on both Hulu and Disney Plus when I was logged in. And I thought I should finally sit down and watch this because I love the Predator movies. And I really loved Prey when it came out.
Same director.
Same director, Dan Trachtenberg. And yeah, I really dug Predator Badlands. It is a lot of fun. So for those not familiar, it follows a predator who is like he's kind of like the runt of his tribe, and his father wants to kill him. And his brother is like, no, I'm not going to kill him. His brother ends up like dying to save him. And he's like dropped in this planet where he's going to, fight and take home this like unkillable beast. And he meets Elle Fanning, who is like an android who's on the planet. And they team up to try and take on this beast. There's some double crossing. There's the Wayland Yutani Corporation involved trying to capture this beast for his research purpose. And yeah, I was kind of like, at first I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I'm like not really used to following the Predators as much in the movies when it's like Alien versus Predator or Predator's not usually the protagonist. And I really liked it a lot. I really liked the rapport with Elle Fanning. I like that Elle Fanning is kind of playing double duty. She's playing one android and then like a more evil version. It's like very different. I thought the action was really terrific in this. I liked the storyline. And overall, I just had like a total blast with it, especially because like part of it is like the predator going more feral and like using the environment and the planet, which is very like exceptionally hostile wildlife, to his advantage instead of like using all his, tricks of the trade. Like he doesn't have cloaking and he doesn't have all the like usual like lasers and stuff. And so I had a lot of fun. Max, you saw this, right?
Yeah, I saw this in theaters because like you, I really enjoyed Prey, and this was getting pretty good reviews, and I'm a big fan of Elle Fanning too, and just hitting all those boxes, I thought I'd be in for a good time at the movies, and yeah, I absolutely was. I think it's a fine action movie. Has a lot of great set pieces. You almost like forget that you're watching like a Predator, or like because like you get so invested in the character.
Mm.
You kind of like, because I remember like one of my knee-jerk reactions to this was like, oh, it's a PG-13 Predator movie. I don't want that. I want an R-rated like Slaughterfest or something.
Yeah. Well, I had no problems with what I watched. That was plenty violent for my taste, Max. I'll tell you that.
But yeah, no, it's a really cool movie. It leaves room for a possible sequel. I like that connection with the Alien universe. Like, I don't know, I never watched the AVP movies, so
me neither. I've heard they're horrendous.
But like, I don't mind that it's kind of connected to that like universe. Like, you could say like Wayland Yutani is just like, the Walmart of the future, right? Like some really gross company.
Yeah, it's Evil Corpse.
Yeah.
It's like our Netflix's, Apple's, whatever you pick your Evil Corp.
Right? Yeah. So no, I think it's a pretty great movie too. For me, Evan, I haven't been watching too much either. Like I said beforehand, the Olympics in the snow, and PC games in general. There's this new PC game that I've been playing, Evan, where like you breed cats and send them off into battle, and they viciously die.
Well, that sounds.
Yeah, it's from like the creator of like Super Meat Boy and The Binding of Isaac, to give you an idea. It's fun. I've killed a lot of hours in that. But first I watched with my wife this old 90s movie called The Cutting Edge. It's
the ice skating movie?
Yeah, it's a figure skating movie where like an ice hockey guy can't do ice hockey anymore because he gets concussed or something, and like he can't have all vision, but that's okay. That's still enough for figure skating. And so he gets partnered up with another figure skater, a woman who, you know, seems to be at the top of her game, but she needs a new partner. And, you know, it's this like enemies to lovers story where they hate each other. And I don't know, because it was cute. I mean, we watched it because of the figure skating in the Olympics. I think what bothered me the most is like at the end, like they're like in this big competition, and you like assume that they win, but like that's not what the movie cares about. It cares that they are good together and be in a relationship. And I'm like, do they win gold? And like they don't care. The movie doesn't care.
They won gold in each other's hearts, Max. That's the important thing.
So that was funny, but
I gotta check that one out. I feel like that's one that Sean has wanted me to see for a while.
Yeah. But I watched Excalibur because the 4K came out from Arrow, and I love myself a good sword and sorcery movie, so I was definitely down for this. And you know, I didn't know a lot of the principal actors, like who played King Arthur or who played Merlin. I mean, the guy who plays Merlin is excellent in this, but it's kind of like the other actors that come up in this, and you're like, that's Liam Neeson, and he's playing this really small role in this movie. Like that's Helen Mirren, and like
I see Gabriel Byrne's in this too.
Right, it's like these future
Patrick
like
Stewart.
Yeah, it's like these actors who like would go on to do like much bigger things than Excalibur. But the movie itself, like I read like the director originally wanted to make The Lord of the Rings, but they couldn't like get the rights for it, so that he like pivoted to Excalibur, and that kind of makes sense in a lot of like what came to fruition in this movie. It's also like a speed run through the King Arthur story, because it really just like touches everything as fast as it can. Oh, here's Arthur's father, and here's how Arthur was born, and Arthur coming to power. You know, it just goes through like all the major story beats, and it feels like it should be like a movie that's like 3 times as long. But maybe that's to its credit, right? Because it's still a pretty long movie, but it gets the full Arthurian legend from beginning to end in there.
Is it good? Did you like it?
Pretty good. It's not my favorite sword and sorcery movie. Like a few years ago, I watched like the original Conan the Barbarian, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like that is a really good movie. But this is cool. I mean, it uses like Wagner music and like other classical music in its score, that like when you hear the music played, you're like, I've heard that song in a zillion other movies and trailers, but this is where it started.
I see.
Yeah, and seeing those other like famous actors like in like these really small bit parts is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun watch.
Yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm glad that Arrow put it out, and I'm looking forward to like, it's pretty like exhaustive package, so I'm like looking forward to like seeing some more of the special features. Like one of them, they got like Helen Mirren and Patrick Stewart and like Liam Neeson to actually sit and talk about this movie, and I'm just like, that's so funny that they would say, oh yeah, I remember this like old like movie that I was in.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun combination of people to get together for sure.
So yeah, that's Excalibur, available from Arrow. But yeah, that will get us to the end of this episode, Evan. I think the next time we plan